Building a website is very hard, and building a good website is even harder. So in this video, we're going to walk you through our 5 best tips that you can use to build out your brewery website that will help increase sales, increase reservations, and give your customers the best user experience possible. And that starts right now. What's going on, everybody? My name is Gannon. I'm a partner at a company called Run With It, and we are a marketing team working exclusively with restaurants, bars, and breweries, helping those businesses grow their business online. So if that's something that you're into, connect with our team on social media. I'll put those links in the description below, and subscribe to this channel because we're dropping videos like this one every single week. When we are building a website, we are really only following 5 rules, and we've came up with these rules because we've built out many sites and we've found that these things are the most important for the end user when they're visiting your business's website. What I'll do is I'll show you a client website that we recently published, and I will compare it to their previous website and walk you through all of those 5 tips and show you exactly how we did it so you can apply it to your website. And I'm telling you, if you want people to have the best user experience and not get frustrated with having to move around your site and really try to figure out where things are and how they can place an order or get a table, follow these tips because it will change the game for your website. And shout out to everybody at Bradley Brew Project in Bradley Beach, New Jersey for allowing us to use their website as an example for this video. If you're in the Jersey Shore area and you want some great beer, this is the place to go. So let's hop right in with rule number 1, and that is to optimize your website for 1 or 2 things. And when I say optimize, I mean, what do you want your customer to do when they go on the website, right? So that can be to purchase beer, that can be for making a reservation, or you can just show off your business through photography and video of your staff members and just give them a background of what exactly you do at your brewery. So let's hop right into Wix, and I will break everything down, show you the comparison between the old website and the new website, and hopefully that will give you a better understanding of how you should be structuring your business's website. Here we are in Wix, and we are currently taking a look at the new Bradley Brew Project website. And just to give you a little bit of background, Bradley Brew actually is a brick and mortar. They do sell out of their location. They have tables that people can sit and enjoy the beer at. So it might be a little different compared to maybe your brewery. I know a lot of people don't sell out of a location. They don't have a brick and mortar and they're just doing distribution. But the same principle of optimizing your site for 1 or 2 things always applies, right? So what I mean when I say that you should optimize your site is you want in big bold letters and big, maybe a button like this, pretty much guiding people to the page that you want them to go on, right? So for Bradley Brew, it's order now. For our beers, order now. Tasting room, grab a table with the days of the week and the hours of each week there too. And you really can't miss it, right? It's one of the first things that you see when you're on the website, and it's kind of highlighted for you. So you can order now, which is the call to action if you're going to order beer, or grab a table, which is the call to action if you're going to grab a table. Now we're taking a look at the old Bradley Brew site, and right off the bat you can kind of tell, if you're comparing it to the new version versus the old version, that this site isn't totally optimized for answering those 2 questions, like how can I buy your beer, can I get a table for a reservation, right? And they do a good job of making it, pretty clear, right? So click here, it's in red font and underlined, underlining the words right there. Same thing for place your order, and the reservations tab and the online store are in the menu, which is great. But again, going back to the optimization of it, you want people on the homepage to have that answer in the biggest, boldest font in the biggest button possible, so they clearly don't miss it. Because chances are, for places like Bradley Brew Project, who have a brick and mortar, they have people coming in for reservations and they're tasting the beer in the tasting room, the people coming to their website are really only looking for 2 things, right? They either want to buy the beer or they want to grab a table for a reservation. If you feel like your website is kind of all over the place, or you're not really sure what you want to optimize your site for. Ask yourself, what do you want your customers to do when they visit your site, right? And essentially, you want your website to act as a salesperson for your business. You don't really want to spend time and waste time building a website that's kind of all over the place. Really hammer down one or two things that you think every customer would question or want answers to, and put it in big, bold letters, a big button on your homepage so they cannot miss it, and it will take your website to the next level. Tip number 2, and we are going to stay in Wix probably for the remainder of the video, so I'm going to stay in a small left-hand corner of your screen. But tip number 2 is to optimize your site. So it's basing off of rule number 1, and you want customers to reach that call to action within 3 clicks or less. 3 clicks or less, because you need to understand, and I'm speaking for myself here too, that a lot of people have the attention span of a Labrador Retriever, right? So they can't really focus on anything for more than 30 seconds to a minute. And if they can't find the answer that they're looking for within the first 2 or 3 clicks on your site, they're going to go somewhere else, right? They want the answer in their face, like we talked about in tip number 1. They don't want to have to do any work at all. The 3-click rule has a lot of controversy. People call it a myth. Some people say it's 100% the truth, but whether or not it's totally accurate, the principle applies no matter what, right? So you want to give the answer to the question that people are looking for in the fastest way possible. And what you do is you do it in 3 clicks or less. It doesn't have to be 3 necessarily, but you want to make it as low as possible. And we are basing this off of the optimization on your site. So like we said in tip number 1, Bradley Brew wants people to make a reservation and they want people to buy the beer. And we do that through, we're on the homepage, we go down, grab a table. That's 1 click. And this is a widget that they use for Host Me. Now, a lot of people might not have this, but essentially you would pick a date, how many people are going, inside or outside, find a table, and that's 2 clicks. And we can do the same exact thing for ordering beer. So you click on Order Now, and it takes you to their online store where you can pick any of the beers that you want. That's 1 click. Here's 2 clicks right here. 3 clicks, you know the deal, right? This is probably one of the most important tips on the list of 5, right? Because we really want to grow conversions and have the website act as a salesperson, going back to tip number 1. And the way that we increase conversions and the way that we get people buying and making reservations is by giving them the answer to the question in the fastest way possible. We don't want people to think at all. We want the answer in front of their face, and it actually leads to a better customer experience doing it that way. Tip number 3, and this is probably my favorite one because I love writing, and this is like a punch in the face for what I have done in the past and what I'm still seeing a lot of people do, and that is by filling up their web pages with a ton of words, and that is not the way you want to go. A rule of thumb that I really like to use, and I don't know if I read it somewhere or if I just thought of it one day, but you want to take every paragraph you write and cut it down to a sentence, and then you want to take that sentence and cut it down to a phrase. So we're taking a look at the old Bradley Brew site, and this is the reservations page, and you know, there's a lot of information about the COVID restrictions for New Jersey, a lot of text, and you know, it's very hard to find the call to action, right? So people actually have to scroll a few times just to get to the reservation site, and that's because of how many words are on the page. And we don't want that. We want the answer to their question or what they're looking for front and center without them having to do any sort of searching, right? The way we transform this page is we took all of the information from these sentences, and these are all COVID related. So we just, you know, people are going to have concerns about COVID, obviously. So we still want to keep that on the site, but we made it a lot more appealing, right? So that we still have the reservations, we have the call to action. And if they do have any questions about COVID restrictions, they just click this right here, and it brings you down to everything that you need to know about COVID restriction. So sentence right here, online reservation, and you know, reservation highly recommended. So phrase, sentence, paragraph, down to sentence, down to phrase. So here we have a sentence. We strongly recommend that you make an online reservation. Here we have a phrase, reservations, highly recommended. We really want to focus on eliminating the sea of words that a lot of websites have, because people, the chances are people aren't going to really be reading everything that you write. So it's good for them that they don't have to navigate through all of that. And it's good for you because you don't have to spend all the time typing everything out for something that people aren't going to read. I am 100% guilty of this when I was first building websites, but take a look at some of your favorite websites. Take a look at some of the best built websites in the world, like Apple, some like Stripe and everything like that, like maybe software as a service websites. They all follow the concept of using less words and taking paragraphs and trying to knock them down to phrases. It's going to be very hard to try to knock all the words from a paragraph down to a sentence or a phrase. But if you really want your website to look great and give your customers the best user experience possible, do this, and I promise you it will work. Tip number 4, and this will be a pretty quick one because it's more of a concept than a walkthrough on how we do it. But you really want to optimize your website for mobile, because I think somewhere around 90 to 95% of your web viewers will come from a phone, right? So you don't really want to focus on the layout of the desktop version, because most people will be viewing it on this. But keep in mind that the tips that we previously covered with the optimization, with the 3 clicks or less and the less words, apply to mobile as well. And we build our websites in Wix, so it might be a little different from how WordPress or Squarespace does it. But for Wix, you're actually building the website in the desktop panel, and then all the information is there on the mobile panel, but you have to go in and manually edit things, right? You can see that the call to actions there, it's one of the first things you see for ordering, and reservations are here. Less words, not a ton of words at all, barely any, honestly. And we're allowing users to do all of the call to actions in 3 clicks or less. And we can go back to the tip number 2 and see exactly how that was done for ordering and grabbing a table for a reservation. But you really want to focus on building out your website so it looks great on a phone, because that's where most people will be. That's where most people will be coming from, whether that's through Facebook or Instagram. And giving them the best mobile experience will help drive conversions. It'll help boost your sales, get more reservations if you were following the previous 3 tips as well. And finally, tip number 5 is to use high quality pictures, even professional pictures, when you can. So if you have to hire a photographer to do it, by all means do it, because it'll make your website look super good, super good. So we did this with Bradley Brew Project, and they had some photos from a photographer that they had come in a while ago. And what we did was we used those photos as backdrops for every single page's background, right? So we have the title of the page, which has white font for this one because the background's a little darker and has great contrast, and it's really nice for the user to see. And it relates to the title of the page, our beer background. And we do that for every single page. So the reservations, you have pictures of the beer on the table here. You have the brewery page, which actually has a picture of the people sitting in the brewery. And the reason you want to do this is because it gives your customers a easier way to navigate through your site, and they can actually see exactly what they can expect to get without having to read a ton of words, right? So if we go back to tip number 3, cutting down on all the words and the sea of words that customers can sometimes get trapped in, if you can give them a visual representation of what they can expect to get from your business, it not only makes it easier for them to navigate through the site and gives them a better understanding, but it actually makes your site look better aesthetically in the process. And here's what I mean by that, right? So the background for the brewery page is a picture of the brewery. Background for our beer is our beer. Background for reservations is a table of the beer, a picture of the beer at a table. And we follow this for every single page on the website, so it follows a common theme, and it just looks super nice on desktop. It looks great on mobile because the photos are the same. And if you're hiring somebody to take the pictures for you, not only can you use those pictures on your website, but you can use them on social media to drive traffic to your website. So it's honestly a win-win, and you can use those pictures forever. So that wraps up our 5 tips if you want to build a killer website for your brewery. Again, that is tip number 1, optimize for 1 or 2 things. Tip number 2, no more than 3 clicks for each optimization. 3, not a ton of words at all. Again, we want to go from paragraph to sentence to phrase. Tip number 4 is to optimize for mobile. And tip number 5 is to utilize high quality or professional photography for all of your web pages. If you found this video helpful at all, please hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications for all of our videos that pop up, because we are dropping videos like this every single week. If you want help with any of your website needs, feel free to connect with our team on social media. I'll put those links in the description too, and we will catch you in the next video.